Great. So I think like now it will be nice to start. I mean, we are already a lot of participants, and to respect the time of everyone, I think it will be good to start. So hello, my name is Carolina Lizondo. I am from Mexico, but actually right now I live in Germany, in Heidelberg. So I greet you everyone from here. I'm doing my master here, and I'm part of All Biotech. So a team and I have been organizing this workshop for you, and we really hope that you all enjoy it because we have prepared really amazing things. So let's start. So just a few recommendations for everyone, just in case. So if you're using Google Chrome, amazing. Hopefully you won't have any trouble. If you're experiencing some trouble right now with a platform, and maybe it may be because you're using another browser, so it will be a nice recommendation if you want to change it, or if everything's working well, then I think you can get stay there. If you want to use this chat, I can see that already we have people greeting from different parts of the world, which is really exciting. And so if you want to have like any questions or contributions, you can use the chat there. If you have technical questions, you can send a private message to the people from the GPS organization. Just as a reminder, do not refresh your browser, otherwise you're going to be kicked out of the session. And during the session, the workshop, we're going to use a Mentimeter. So if you want, you can start in your smartphone or in another tab of your browser. You can start entering to the page because we're going to use it later. Okay, so this is our organizing team. So I will present quickly all of the amazing thing that has been behind this workshop. So we have Natalia Rodriguez, who is from Chile, and she is a biochemist. We have Romina Pailao, who is also from Chile, she's a biotechnologist, and Nicolas Domke, also from Chile, who is plant biotechnology engineering, and myself, that I already presented myself, Carolina Lizondo from Mexico. So this is our workshop agenda for today. So as you can see right now, we're having the welcoming for the workshop, and I will later talk to you about what is All Biotech and what we do in the organization. Then we'll have Natalia Rodriguez, who will give us the relevant factors for the development of the startup ecosystem. And then we'll have our section of startup stories from the bioeconomy. So in here, some amazing participants that I will present later and who are founders or co-founders of startups will tell you a little bit about their startups. Later, we'll have a question and answer session. And after that, we'll have a discussion session about the opportunities for new companies in the bioeconomy. So as well, we have amazing participants in here who I will also present later. And we will be discussing the new opportunities that we have right now to start new companies, bio-based, of course, companies. How are the difference in every region? What things we should take into account and everything. And finally, we're going to have our little summary and our closing. Okay, so I think I can start telling you, so what is All Biotech? So as you can read there, All Biotech looks to develop the next generation of Latin American leaders for the global bioeconomy. So who we are? All Biotech is an organization that is led by young people, and we are dedicated to improve or to help to the advance of biotechnology and education in Latin America so that we can have a more sustainable future in our region. We aim to develop capacities and leadership in the region so that it can be really a leader or a hotspot for innovation in life science, so that our region is really strong in biotechnology. So our mission and vision, we want to be the main source of talent and leadership for the bioeconomy in Latin America. So for this, we are redesigning the bioscience ecosystem. And our mission is to develop the new generation of STEM professionals who are capable of transforming Latin America with biotechnology and in general with life sciences. How we do this, our main core actions is to educate, empower, and connect. So like I really like this, like in general, we want to use biotechnology to transform Latin America. So what, like, we do a lot of things. We have a lot of events, a lot of projects, but one of the main things that we do, and we reunite like all these leaders that we look from the region, is our summit, the All Biotech Summit. So this event is, it brings together 100 young leaders from all Latin America to discuss the challenges that biotechnology faces in our region and how we can change, how can we redesign the life science ecosystem, which is one of the objectives of our organization. So the first summit we ever had was in Chile in 2017, 3 years ago already. Then we had our next summit in Mexico, and then in 2019 we had something different. So the two generations of young leaders got together in Costa Rica in order to discuss more about bioeconomy. So we had like the Bioeconomy Forum to discuss all these things that have been, like all these ideas and all this planning that has come from our summits, now to really start taking action on all this. And now we have now our new generation of young leaders, and we are going to have our next edition of the summit in Argentina in 2021. So, as I have already mentioned, so we have this big community of young leaders. We are more than 300 people that between 18 and 35 years old, and with really different backgrounds. Some are still undergrad or grad students, some already started their own companies or startups, so they are entrepreneurs. Others work in industry, others are in academia in general, some are teachers, science communicators. So it's a really, really big and diverse community, and we represent 19 countries from all Latin America. Our focus areas are education and entrepreneurship. And this is like just quickly the board of directors. As you can see, we also have a quite diverse board of directors from many countries of Latin America. And if you have any questions or you are curious about what we do in All Biotech, here you can look for information. So in our social media. So well, I'm done with the presentation regarding All Biotech. So now we are going to pass to our Mentimeter. Sorry. So how to use it? So if you're already on the menti.com page, you can enter the code that is there, 3884731. Or if it's easier to you, you can scan the following QR. And for this, now Natalia will actually share her screen in order so that we can follow the Mentimeter. Okay, I can see that there's some people that are already answering. So the first question that we have for this is, from which country are you and from which sector? So please write your country and in which sector you belong to. So it's really nice to see that we have a quite diverse audience right now. We have people from Chile, Netherlands, Switzerland, Indonesia, Austria, the United States, Colombia, Germany, Slovakia, Belgium. So we actually have people from all around the world. It's really exciting. And I can see a lot of people belong to academia, a couple of them into industry, research and development, many PhD students. They are asking again for the code, but I can give you the code. So I don't have the, okay, they gave already, sorry. Good, thank you to Oliver who sent the code for the Mentimeter. We also have people from Kenya, from Turkey, El Salvador. Wow, I think we have people from all continents. It's really exciting. Okay, so we actually have our next question. So the question is, which do you think is the most important factor in the success of the biotechnology venture? We are going to be already discussing about this later, but we want to really know what ideas do you have, and actually maybe how these ideas may change during, during the workshop. So we have really different actually answers with partnerships, technology, a market need, trust, definitely, innovation ecosystems, a good team, two people saying a good team, I think that's really important. Education, skill development, secures clients. We also have another answer regarding the market. Research innovation, social acceptance. Yeah, as you can see, we have a quite diverse answers, type of answers, but at the same, I feel that most of these answers are somehow correlated. And of course, I think something super important, and that we will discuss later in our discussion panels. We have to really consider the context and the region where we are. Even between the same region, even every country has different needs. So there are some things that will work or that you have to take into account in some places. You have in some other places are going to be different. Of course, there's like general things that applies for everyone, as you can see here, but there are also some others. And okay, so now we are going to our next presentation, who is going to be Natalia, who is going to present, and she's going to talk to us about the relevant factors for the development of the startup ecosystem. So Natalia, are you there?
Yeah, I'm there. Perfect.
Hi. Okay.
Hi, Carol. Thank you.
I will leave you right now. I'm going to speak.
Perfect. So, hi, everyone. I'm very happy to see you all here. We have actually a good amount of people joining the meeting today. Like Caro mentioned, I'm Natalia Rodriguez. I'm actually Projects Director at All Biotech. And I'm going to share a brief introduction into today's workshop topic, talking about relevant factors for the development of startups in the bioeconomy. Perfect. Then, as you all know, in the world, all over the world today, we're facing some great challenges. Just to mention a couple, we have a climate crisis with a very challenging goal to keep the temperature rise below 2 degrees. We have food waste that represents 1/3 of the total food produced all over the world. And we have plastic pollution that keeps on increasing with over 6 billion tons that are wasted and spread around the world. And at the same time, we have seen how this year the global pandemic has actually deepened certain problems that were already there. For example, access to healthcare, food security, or unemployment. In that sense, despite all these challenges, actually the bioeconomy is, together with the power of biotechnology, gives us the right tools to be able to tackle these problems and to make a positive impact. For that, particularly startups are very well placed to provide these solutions, and for their success, there are certain factors that are very relevant. Some of them you can see here, and there are many others also that could be mentioned. For example, we have policies and regulations. On a positive note, we have seen that the past year there has been a growing global interest in creating bioeconomy-related policies. Like you can see in this map, we have many countries around the world that have already adopted dedicated strategies or related policies for promoting the bioeconomy. But despite this very positive trend, we still can say that biotechnologies and technologies in general are evolving at faster rates than policies and regulations can actually keep up with. And we also have a need in many countries for a more clear policy framework and adequate regulations that not only ensure biosafety, but also promote technology development. Another very important factor for startups to grow, a very key one, I would say, is access to funding. Access to funding is key, and actually the past years we've seen a very positive trend where, as you can see here in yellow, this year we're going to have a record level of investment in biotech and biopharma compared to past years. And this is a very positive news. But for the ecosystem to grow and for startups to keep on growing and having success, something that is very key also in these factors is that they have a suitable early funding that have realistic timelines and expected results, and also funding that promotes more the academia and industry interaction. And between other factors that we can also mention, we have support and infrastructure. For example, having dedicated space and at different stages, from prototyping to piloting and scaling. And in human capital, we are seeing a very interesting trend with more multidisciplinary teams and a growing need for retraining talent in the bioeconomy. And just as a final note, particularly in developing countries, we have still a challenge to reverse the brain drain that has been happening the past years or decades. And finally, some other factors that I can mention are market conditions. For example, the availability of biomass and biodiversity, and existing culture, like the different outlooks and expectations we can find between academia and industry, and the level of public awareness on the opportunities and benefits that the bioeconomy offers for a specific country or a specific region. And together, all these different factors and many others that you can also mention, there's one thing that is very clear, or at least for me is very clear, and is that the bioeconomy is rich, very rich in opportunities for the startup scene, either if they come from new raw materials and sources of biomass, or new uses for waste and unvalued industrial byproducts, or even finally using biotech itself as a production process and integrating it with digital technologies to drive the bioeconomy. So just to close, behind all these challenges and opportunities, there are actually startups that are already working in this, that are already solving these problems and taking advantage of these opportunities. And today we're going to hear a couple of those stories from those entrepreneurs. So thank you very much. And I think next we're going to have a Mentimeter, Caro.
Yes, great. So again, please enter to Mentimeter. There you can see the code. And Natalia will share the screen in order for you to see the answers. It looks like it was a competition, but no worries, not a competition. So again, which of these factors do you consider the most important for the success of the biotechnology venture? You can see there are many options. So we want to mostly see from what Natalia has been talking, and now which is your opinion about which is the most important factor for the success of biotechnology venture. We're going to see the results at the end, so don't worry if you don't see nothing right now. So in a few seconds, we'll see what everyone thinks. Oh, so I can see that most of the people think that policies and regulations is one of the most important factors, followed by access to funding. But of course, all the factors are really important. Also, support and infrastructure, market conditions, human capital, and existing culture, all of course are important factors for this. But I think most of the people go more for the one of policies. Okay, so I think we can go now to our next section, that is the startup studies. So meanwhile, we wait for the next slide. Okay, it's perfect, thank you. In the next section, we're going, as I mentioned before, we're going to have some presentations from these three amazing people. So first of all, we have Sophia Sigal Pasek. She's CEO and co-founder of Unifish. So a little bit about her. She is, as I mentioned, co-founder and CEO of Unifish, a biotech startup that aims to eliminate all bacterial diseases. Sophia is also a senior at Yale and US College in Singapore. She was elected as Biotech Leader of Tomorrow, Angem, and Stanford Advanced Scholar, as well as EPIC Fellow at Conservation X Labs. Sophia is very excited about working at the intersection of AI and microbiology to bring unforeseeable innovations to our everyday lives. Also, we have Mauricio Bryan. So Mauricio is a biotechnologist with PhD in life sciences and broad experience as a fermentation scientist. Before founding Microma, and where right now he is CSO, he was a researcher at CONICET, the main agency that fosters science and technology in Argentina and the second best research institution in Latin America. And then we have Leonardo Alvarez, who is the CEO and founder of Protera. So Leonardo is a bioentrepreneur with a background in computational biology. He is the co-founder of Protera, a protein engineering company using AI, recognized recently as one of the 10 startups to watch by CNN from the American Chemical Society. Leonardo is also alumni from IndieBio and Startup Chile. So as you can see, we have amazing speakers today, and we are going to start with Sophia, who is going to tell us about Unifish. So Sophia, are you there?
I am here.
Hi, how are you?
Hi, that's great to be on the other side of the screen now.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Cool. Okay, yeah, actually, you can hear me, you can see me, I can see the slides, so it should be working. Perfect.
Yeah.
Hi everybody, I'm Sophia. Thank you so much, Carolina, for the introduction. I'm, as it was mentioned already twice, a co-founder and CEO of Unifish. And Unifish leverages the power of machine learning and bacteriophages to eliminate all bacterial diseases. starting with the agricultural sector. When COVID had just hit, my close friend Chris and I had this call, over which we shared that both of us felt really overwhelmed and powerless about the pandemic. It felt almost ridiculous that a single pathogen could cause so much damage to the whole humanity. We both felt like infectious diseases should never again have so much power over us, humans, which is why we started brainstorming about how we could leverage our skills in data science and biology to help the humanity become more resistant to bacterial diseases. While it's well known that viral diseases are still a huge problem, and we all now are still experiencing the pandemic, it's commonly thought that bacterial diseases are kind of a solved problem. It's true that we all hear about the rising antibiotic resistance and such, but in reality, bacterial diseases are still a really big issue that causes a lot of damages to humans in different industries. Which is why we co-founded Uniphage, with the goal to eliminate all bacterial diseases, currently existing and future emerging ones. When our AI algorithm receives a target bacterial genome of the bacterial pathogen, it predicts how we need to modify the set of the already well-characterized bacteriophages. Those bacteriophages are then tested, mass-produced, and delivered in a ready-to-use form to our customers. Because we use the same core set of bacteriophages with small modifications for different diseases, our solution is especially scalable from the regulatory perspective. We have subdivided the process of creating this platform technology into two key steps. For the first model, we were developing an algorithm that could predict which bacteriophages from our bacteriophage set could most efficiently eliminate the target bacterial pathogen. This model of ours is already 98% accurate in silico, and we are currently testing it in a lab. For the second stage of a model, we are developing an algorithm that allows us to predict how to modify the already well-characterized bacteriophages for them to change their course and most efficiently eliminate the target bacterial pathogen. Just like every platform technology, we need to start somewhere. And we decided to start with the focus on the agricultural sector. Bacterial diseases in agriculture is not only a heavily overlooked problem, but also has the smallest regulatory barrier to enter, as opposed to, let's say, human health and livestock production. We aim to first eliminate citrus greening and Pierce's diseases, then eliminate other bacterial diseases in agriculture, after which we hope to move on to eliminating bacterial diseases in other sectors. Our long-term goal is to make sure that no bacterial diseases can ever cause so much damage and distress to the humanity again, just like a viral disease is causing to all of us now. Thank you.
Great. Thank you very much, Sophia, for your really nice presentation. I think like these kind of projects are going to have a lot of impact, definitely. And I'm sure a lot of people have questions right now, so you can either ask directly Sophia through the chat, or you can ask her later in the question and answer section. And now we have Mauricio from Microma. Mauricio, are you there?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, and your camera
awesome.
is activated. So I guess, yeah, I see you there. Hey, good to see you.
Hi. Yeah, thank you for the presentation earlier, and it's a pleasure to be here.
Yeah, it's really nice to have you here. So the stage is yours.
Okay, awesome, thank you. So, hi everyone, my name is Mauricio. I'm the CSO and co-founder of Microma. Let me see if So I'm not sure if I'm changing the slides.
Yes, you're changing them, so perfect.
Okay, thank you. So Microma is a startup from Argentina that is developing a biotech platform to produce novel ingredients in a sustainable, scalable, and cost-effective way. Our main project is a natural colors platform. We are developing high-performance colorants derived from filamentous fungi for the food and cosmetic industry. I co-founded Microma in September last year with my business partner, Ricky Cassini. He has a background in business administration and logistics, and I'm a biotechnologist with a PhD in life sciences and experience in microbial fermentation. We met in November 2018 in a meeting organized by Austral University and Gridex, one of the largest company builders in Latin America. And in this meeting, I was presenting a research project about fungal colorants for the food industry to an audience of business professionals. So we started working together on this project, and in January 2019, Gridex selected us to participate in their program and helped us build our business plan. In June, we traveled to San Francisco to present our project to IndieBio, the largest life science accelerator in the world. And in July, we received the two investments from Gridex and IndieBio. So in 2 months, we have to create the company, build our scientific team, and move to San Francisco for 5 months to participate in IndieBio's program and to accelerate both our business and sciences. Nowadays, the scientific team of Microma is based in the city of Rosario in Argentina, and is working in the labs of the Catholic University of Argentina, and the business part of the company is based in San Francisco. So our mission is to replace all petroleum-based ingredients used in the industry nowadays. I have been a vegetarian for over 10 years, and I got used to reading food products labels, and soon I realized of the problems associated with petroleum-based ingredients, especially petroleum-based colorants. They are not only bad for the environment, but also have been related to many health concerns like allergies, hyperactivity, and even cancer. Of course, there are natural options available. They derive from agriculture, but are much more expensive and have poor performance. And so we want to offer like a third option, because agriculture uses a lot of water, and agriculture and 12% of the land can be used for farming. So luckily there is an increasing awareness related to the environmental and health problems associated with petroleum-based ingredients, leveraging principally for the new generation of consumers that are demanding to the industry and to the governments healthier and more sustainable products and processes. So our technology is based in 3 key elements: filamentous fungi, that are the most versatile organisms on Earth and allows us to develop the best production process; CRISPR, the latest gene editing technology that we are using to develop proprietary industrial strains; and submerged fermentation. We are growing our strains in bioreactors. This is very important because it ensures the scalability of our process and the quality of the product batch after batch. So first, we selected a safe fungal strain that we are editing with CRISPR. This strain is grown in bioreactors in the optimum conditions to produce and secrete the colorant to the media. And after a simple separation and formulation step, we have our final product that is a aqueous-based colorant. Here you can see some of the colors that we are producing right now. red, orange, and yellow. These colorants have better performance than the natural options used nowadays. They have high pH and thermal stability, high solubility, and can reproduce in a sustainable way. Although the warm colors represents 90% of the food colorants market, we want to develop a full spectrum of colors. None of this would be possible without our scientists. The traction. So since we're creating Microma, a lot of companies all around the world have shown interest in our technology. We received 5 LOIs from huge companies like Danone and several MTAs from the top and fastest growing companies in the food and cosmetic sector. But none of this would be possible without the all-out effort of our scientists. Besides Ricky and me, Microma's team is formed by Mariano, food scientist, Emilia, food biotechnologist, and Emiliano, molecular biologist. And we are honored to be advised by a group of high experienced professionals in every key part of our business and science. And we have a great network of support, not only Gridex and IndieBio, but also MISTA, a food innovation hub in San Francisco, and the top institutions from Argentina. So thank you. If you have any question, please let me know or contact me. Thank you.
Great, thank you very much for your really nice presentation. It's really exciting to see what Microma has been doing and achieving, and I'm sure a lot more is to come. And I'm also sure a lot of people have questions right now. I already even see that some people already are asking things to Sophia, so I'm sure people are going to ask you later questions. But thank you. And now we will have Leonardo from Protera. Leonardo, are you there?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Right, just showing my camera now.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we should be all set. All right.
Great, thank you.
So, yeah,
nice to see you here.
Yeah, glad to be here. Thanks for the invitation. I'm happy to see Mauricio, a fellow IndieBio, and MISTA actually too. So we have a lot of overlappings there. Happy to see what's happening in the food sector.
Great, so the stage is yours.
All right, okay, thanks. Also, hello everyone. Thanks for joining today. My name is Leo. I am the CEO and co-founder of Protera. And we started Protera with the idea of transforming our food system through protein engineering using artificial intelligence. That's our core platform. And we started our company because we noticed a huge transformation in the food sector. And we are living in unprecedented times in this space. Consumers have more access to information than ever before. So we as consumers are deeply involved with the food that we eat every day. We want to understand what kind of ingredients companies are using in our products and if they are healthy and sustainably produced. So some interesting trends, for example, in US, 75% of consumers will pay extra for clean label ingredients. And that's pushing food companies to replace their chemical derived ingredients. Another interesting trend for us is the number of people that is transitioning to a plant-based diet, even if they are not vegans or vegetarians, but because of a sustainability perspective, right? We want to change products that are non-sustainable in the food sector. This mega trend is boosting a market that is expected to be $64 billion by 2026. So there is a lot of opportunity to create new ingredients and new food for food, right? And new alternatives. However, some ingredients face a lot of challenges. You might already see some clean label alternatives for some of the food products that are replacing the classical ingredient. However, when we look at this challenging set of ingredients, they share one thing, which they are functional. They play a key functionality role in the final product, like antimicrobials, for example, to preserve our food. we have the duty to decrease food waste. That's a huge issue globally. So we can't think of a food system without preservatives, right? Otherwise, it's not sustainable. But we need to find alternatives that will be more sustainable and healthier. There is other interesting trend towards replacing texturizers that are commonly used in plant-based products like methyl cellulose that have mounting evidence to have a negative impact in the environment, but also in human health. And the same happens with antioxidants. And the alternatives that exist right now in the market for all these products are not effective. And you lose performance, you increase the price, and that's not what we're looking for, because we want everyone on Earth to have access to these high-quality ingredients. So at Protera, we are convinced that proteins are the perfect solution to all these challenges. Proteins are naturally occurring molecules. They are part of our skin. They allow us to breathe, transport oxygen. They can do virtually everything and have a wide range of functionalities and application. Also, proteins are appealing to consumer. The challenge is how we identify a specific protein for a specific function. And that's really challenging because proteins are complex molecules. They have very complex 3D structures, and the structure determines the functionality. And if we want to develop or design a specific protein with classical approach, it's really difficult, and it can take years to do it. So that's why at Protera we have developed a proprietary platform that allows us to design new proteins using artificial intelligence. So we have trained this platform with data from proteins, from the sequence and structure and functions, and then we can rapidly predict how a protein will perform for a specific application, and then we produce them through fermentation approaches. With this platform, we are developing multiple products that are aimed to solve critical challenges within the food sector, especially around food shelf life, palm oil replacers, foaming, emulsifying, and antioxidant proteins, which are key for the food industry and will play a key role in the final application too. And yeah, I want to start first showing you one of the examples that we're developing, which is a unique protein for shelf life extension that we developed for the bakery industry, but can be applied in other food products too. And we focus on the bakery industry because they lose a lot of product even before they reach the consumer. So bakeries have some alternatives that are chemical additives that can extend shelf life no more than 12 days, and they are limited by the environmental conditions. And here we have introduced Protera Guard, a unique antifungal protein solution. It's unique in the market. There is no other protein alternative to extend shelf life of bakery products. And as you can see here, even under harsh conditions, when we treat bread with 50,000 fungal spores, the bread treated with our product, it's completely fresh, even after 31 days, while regular bread is completely overtaken by the fungal strain. We're doubling the shelf life that you can obtain with chemical alternatives, and this is a great example of how proteins can outperform chemical products if you design it, if you have the right protein for the specific application. And with this, we captured the attention of global media, but that was not our target. The real target, after capturing the attention of media, is bringing key partners that will believe in this solution and then apply this product in their food final product. That's what we are targeting. So we're working with global and key companies in different sectors of the industry to help us scale up production and reach industrial scale production to sell our products. We're working with the largest bakery worldwide to deploy our antifungal solution, but also the rest of the proteins that we are developing. And because we have developed this key asset, or MADI platform, we are deploying MADI in a software as a service version with client already testing in the chemical industry. And the results we have seen, it's just great. And this brings early stage revenue for the company, but also bring key data that then we can use for our internal developments. We have an amazing and multidisciplinary team that combines experience from the industry, artificial intelligence, protein engineering, protein fermentation, and we have a great board of directors that provides experience also from the industry, but from the venture capital world. And we have closed a $9 million total funding since we started. We are also part of IndieBio, MISTA platform too, And we recently closed our Series A with Sophia partners from France. So we have the R&D facilities in Chile, and now pilot scale production is happening in Europe. So we're relocating part of the team to France. And we have also strategic partnerships with Dosan, a multinational company from South Korea. So yeah, thank you very much. Thanks for joining today. If you have any question, I'll be happy to answer.
Great, thank you. I would like to also invite the other speakers to join us for the question and answer section. Mauricio, Sophia. There's a Mauricio.
I should be here. Yes, I'm here.
Yes, great. Okay, so nice to have the three of you here. I mean, it's really nice even how to see that intersection between the projects. Even like we see two projects focusing like using artificial intelligence technology. We see like two projects that focus on the food industry. So I think it tells us something, you know, like on which are like the areas that are actually like that we should watch, let's say. So from the chat, I can see that there are already some questions. I think like Sophia has already answered some of the questions. Maybe you want to add something to your answers?
I don't know. I was trying my best to actually answering stuff in the chat.
Okay.
Yeah, if anybody has questions, just like I guess answer. I mean, ask there or just text me. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Everything else is answered. Thanks.
Yeah, and actually we have a question for Mauricio. If you have considered, from Maria Eugenia, if you have considered other organisms as a source of natural colorants other than traditional agriculture.
Yes, thank you for the question. So we considered another organisms, but we decided to go with filamentous fungi because filamentous fungi can naturally produce colorants and secrete the color to the colorant to the liquid medium. So that makes much easier the downstream processing when dealing with purity of the colorant. And besides that, a lot of molecules that we are targeting are secondary metabolites, and also filamentous fungi have great secretion system for secondary metabolites, and we think, and that's why we decided to develop our platform around these microorganisms.
Nice. I hope. So actually, I like this question a lot. It's from Daniel Dominguez, and it's for everyone. So what are the main opportunities you have found during this pandemic, and how are you adapting to the crisis? So I think let's hear now Leonardo. Leonardo, are you there? You disappear.
Don't think he's here. He's going to be back probably in a couple of seconds.
Oh, okay. Okay, well then, maybe Mauricio or Sophia, would you like to answer this question? Maybe Mauricio, who's already muted.
Okay, sure. I'll. Oh, go ahead. Just take it.
Okay. Yeah. So yeah, pandemic was challenging, but as the questions said, it was also a time for opportunities. So during the pandemic, the food system was in crisis. It was already in crisis, but pandemic shows all the problems regarding food security and regarding about the production system. And our technology it's supposed to shorten the supply chains, to improve responsible sourcing, and so we have a lot of traction. We already had a lot of traction before the pandemic, but the pandemic really focused on the food tech companies, and that really helped us to have traction. And some of the challenges are related to specifically to the lockdown and the impossibility to access to the lab until a few months ago, that we could resume our scientific activities. And in terms of funding, it was hard to raise capital during the pandemic, but we are in a good place in terms of funding. So we decided to postpone our seed round and to reopen it in Q1 2021.
Yeah, I mean, especially I think like for everyone who we work in the lab, it's really like it really affected. But it's nice to hear that now you're like I'm sure like you already have like a plan on how to like manage everything. And
Yeah.
Sophia?
I really don't hear. Yeah, my experience was actually rather extremely positive. So I'm gonna kind of like make it sound not as bad as it is. I feel like one of the best opportunities that exists now in the pandemic is there's two. First, you can pitch at many events. So as opposed to going to different places physically as you had in the past, you can basically pitch like at 2 startup events or to like 5 investors on the same day, because you don't have to move, which means you have significantly more exposure. And the second thing is that because a lot of people continue being in a lockdown, they are significantly more willing to get on a call with you, because they kind of feel like talking to new people, just like even talking to somebody, because as someone who has been in lockdown for a while, it feels like just talking to somebody new, it feels exciting. So I feel like a lot of really interesting people, including professors, investors, entrepreneurs, are significantly more to talk to you and give you advice and give you like 15 minutes or like 30 minutes or even like an hour of their time. So I would recommend to anybody try to use this opportunity to reach out to people to whom you've always wanted to talk to and just ask for like 15 minutes of their time and ask all the questions that you might have had, because that's the time to do this.
Yeah, I agree. Like somehow now with the pandemic, I don't know, I have felt more connected with more people. It has gave the opportunity to really connect more and like to have more time. So it's really nice to see like how we have taken advantages of this situation. And I see that actually Leonardo is having some trouble reconnecting. I hope he can join us soon again. Otherwise, perfectly, the slide of Leonardo is still there. So if you have any questions or something for him, I'm sure he will glad to receive an email from you. And actually, I have a question, like it's for both of you, and it's also related to what I can see from the chat. How it was like with this like accelerator programs. I know, for example, Mauricio, you belong to Critics and then to IndieBio. I know, for example, you, Sophia, you are now with the EPIC program from IGEM. How it has been? Maybe Mauricio, you can tell us a little bit about Critics and IndieBio, and even like which recommendations would you give like on people like maybe already have their ideas, and I mean, there are many options actually, or where to go. Like many people are actually willing to help. Like, but what would you recommend? Or how was your experience with that?
So, well, I'm a scientist, so I have to learn a lot about business. Although I have my business partner that has a background in business administration and he's dealing with all the business part of the company, I had to learn a lot about business also and entrepreneurship, because to speak somehow the same language as my business partner. So Gridex and IndieBio really helped me to learn about entrepreneurship, and that for me, I felt like I learned a lot in this last year since we created the company, and I'm still learning a lot. And participating in their program was really challenging. We worked 24/7 when we were in San Francisco. We have to build a scientific team in a few months and move all together in one house in San Francisco and work like every day trying to accelerate our company, our development. It was really challenging, but I felt like I would do that again if I had the chance, because for a startup and for an entrepreneur, to be part of these accelerators is very important. It really helped you to build your company, to build your teams, to build your technology, and to do it fast in the exponential ways that it's supposed to do. So, and of course, in the bio, it's like the best accelerator for biotech companies. So it's like a dream come true when we were selected to participate in their program.
Oh, but it's really nice, like, to hear how it helped you actually to learn. Like something like you mentioned is really important. I mean, I also like a life scientist, so I know we don't have like a economy background, so it's really important, like, to have, of course, a multidisciplinary team and someone who knows. But I still think like it still is important to know just at least a little bit, not for like managing everything by yourself, but I think like it gives you like guidance, like somehow, like you know which questions to ask, and so I think it's super important. And how it has been for you, Sophia?
Sure. I feel like for me, it's definitely, again, really different, which is great because it means you can bring more new perspectives. iGEM Epic definitely has helped us to start a lot, and I think Shanghai from iGEM Epic will be presenting later in the session. Other than this, I would say that for any students or like graduate and undergraduate students, it's important to understand that at the initial stages, especially when you don't have patents and when you're still like heavily in the R&D process, it's probably better to try to go with various grants that exist, or like university funding, or basically anything that does not involve venture capital. Because when you get venture capital, you're expected to deliver like by your milestone. And when it comes to R&D, just like all of us who have been to a lab, we all know that it does not always happen as we expect it to happen. So if you have this opportunity, try to go for as long as possible with non-dilutive funding, which means basically just grants or like any other kind of funding that you can get outside of VC accelerators or anything. And then when time comes, I'm sure you're also going to have a great experience, like was previously mentioned. Yeah, but iGEM Epic is definitely really great. Thank you.
Yeah, maybe it's for some who have not. Well, and I think that we'll leave that to Shanghai to talk more about like the iGEM Epic program. And I mean, we have technical questions. I think that's this question. I think I have seen already some questions similar to this, like, about the factors and the most important you consider even like before launching. Like when you had the idea, was there something that came to your mind and you say like, okay, I need to first figure out this, and then like what made, I would like more it would be like, what made you sure, or like okay, I'm ready for this? What you consider first, and after you already like realize like you already accomplished like those considerations, you then like, okay, I will go for it. Mauricio, maybe.
Okay, yeah, I never felt sure about any of the steps I was taking, because like every time you feel like you need to do more, and you need to move faster. So and it's like a weird feeling, because you are doing a lot of progress, but at the same time you feel you need to do more progress. So, but now it was more like a change of mindset, that I was working at the academy, and at one point I was invited to this event where I met Ricky to present a research project, and from there I decided to become an entrepreneur. I decided to build my company, and I moved in that direction. But yes, all the time I'm feeling like I should be doing more, and I should be moving faster.
Okay, and I see that Leonardo is back. Nice to have you here again.
This is one of the pandemic issues of doing everything online. Sorry for that. I don't know what actually happened with the browser. I don't know, but yeah, glad to be back.
Yeah, so maybe now I can make like a general question of some of the things we have discussing. So like, whether my first question would be on how maybe the pandemic like affected, and which opportunities actually you you can say you took from it?
Sure. Yeah. So I think the pandemic, it impacted many things, especially with, you have everything planned. Especially we were just, for example, closing our Series A, so we have a amazing plan and strategy for the next 2 years. Everything was drafted before the pandemic, and then all of a sudden everything was closed. So all that work was thrown to the trash, and we needed to start again. We had a lot of delays producing samples. We were just at that stage of producing samples to send to our clients, a lot of MTAs, so that was a kind of bottleneck. But I think it affected everyone, so the clients were also very flexible in that regard. So I think that's the main challenge, coordinating the team working remotely. It's really difficult, especially for the team working in the lab. Then the rest of the team can work remotely because we do a lot of AI and we have a lot of computational biology people, so that's working really, really good. And then some of the opportunities there, especially, I think it's consumers becoming more aware of the sustainability issues, and people now distrusting even more the current gold standards in the food industry, especially when involve animals, right? So people is changing to plant-based diets. That's pushing food companies again to replace their ingredients. And we see a spectacular opportunity there for proteins. And you see a lot of other companies that are working to replace protein from a nutritional perspective that are succeeding a lot, like Perfect Day or Impossible Foods and those kind of companies. So it's great to see that opportunity.
Okay, and for example, also, and I think this question, of course, this also applies to Mauricio. So, I mean, you already have like these products like are planned to be used for the food industry. How is it to deal with regulations regarding, like are applied to like food industry? Maybe Leonardo can answer us again.
Yeah, sure. So it's really challenging because we are working with novel ingredients, and in our case, especially in US, it's a bit more clear on how to go and what's the regulatory pathway, and there is a lot of expertise, and you can follow the pathway of other companies, like I just mentioned, Impossible Foods. They have novel ingredients. They have demonstrated how to regulate it. So we are following a similar pathway, which is basically demonstrated that your product is grass, right? So you have the grass notice. It's supposed to be faster, but again, a lot of companies are now going through that path. So you have new delays. So it can take 18 months, and so that's definitely the way we want to handle it. But obviously, you need to demonstrate that the product is safe to consume anyway. So you need to have all the testing. And for us, consumer trust is key. So you need to show that the product is better, and from the health perspective, that it's safe to consume, and then demonstrating that it is more sustainable. And that's the main reason why you should change to this kind of products. In Europe, for some reason, it is more difficult. Even when you thought, okay, Europe, it's the leading continent regarding fermentation and producing these kind of biotechnological products. But again, the regulatory status there, it's a bit more complex to navigate. Definitely, this is going to be novel food. That's the way we're handling.
Okay, and how is it for you, Mauricio? Like, is it similar? You have seen.
Yeah, so like Protera, we are developing novel ingredients. Our colorants have never been used in the industry before. So, and besides that, regulation on colorants is more strict than other food additives and food ingredients. So, we think it may take us, or the regulatory process may take us, at least in the best case scenario, 1.5 years, and in the worst case scenario, 3 years to approve our colorants. And luckily, although we're working with a GMO strain, since there is no trace of the organisms in the final product, we don't have a GMO product. We don't have to claim that our product is a GM. It's genetically modified, so that's good for us. But still, the food additive regulatory process is hard and is more difficult than other ingredients.
Yeah, but still, I mean, it would be really nice to you even thought it was GMO that we could really have the acceptance from the public, but I think like it's something worldwide where GMOs are still seen as something back, and we could discuss for hours about this topic, so I'm just not going to touch it right now. Let's actually, I think like a topic that is really interesting and like it's resonating a lot since a couple of years ago, but every time I feel it's getting stronger and stronger. It's in general like all this artificial intelligence and machine learning. Even now in the master, I have been learning about machine learning and programming, and it's like, oh my God. So I mean, Leonardo and Sophia, your projects are based basically on a machine learning, artificial intelligence algorithm. So how it has been? I mean, have you even put hands on the coding, or you got like people who work on that? Maybe Sophia, you can tell us a little bit about how it has been for you.
Sure. In our case, when we were starting out, we kind of knew that we had to choose a project for which we had all the key skills to at least bring it to minimal testable state. Don't like the MVP term in biotech because it doesn't show say much. So my co-founder Chris has been doing machine learning for a pretty long time. So he's the one who writes all the initial models. We are currently getting more people on the team on the computational side, but not because we don't have the skills, but because we have 24 hours in a day, which is generally the main limiting factor in startups. I feel like we all can do a lot of things, we just don't have enough time.
Yeah, definitely. And how it has been for you, Leonardo, like that, how it was the development of the algorithm?
Yeah, for us, I mean, and myself, I have a background in biotech engineering, but I really specialize in computational biology, and that's what I really love. And my vision is that, you know, everything will be possible we will be able to simulate everything, and even biological systems, and we are demonstrating that in the computer before testing in the lab. And for us, actually, it was more of we needed to do it this way because we didn't have the resource to build a lab to start with, so we couldn't compete with large companies that have $1 billion lab to run all the testings in terms of proteins. So we needed something cheap, and that's why we started with the computational biology approach. And that allowed us to decrease the number of candidates. We decreased the R&D expenses about 350 times because we only test 10 variants every iteration instead of testing thousands of protein variants. So for us, really AI, it's core. And it's weird that now everyone is using AI. I do believe that AI will be everywhere, and it's being demonstrated, but now it's like a hype word that you just throw out and the investor will invest because you have AI. But we really do it, and it's super exciting to see how you know, you have a lot of scientific publications around it, especially in protein engineering, with teams even from Google DeepMind. They are being involved in predicting protein structures with amazing results. So it's you know, it is there. You can have better results. You can accelerate the whole pipeline. And I was involved in the early stage of the coding, because we were like 3 team members. Now we're 28. We have an amazing team of artificial intelligence engineers in Chile and in France. So they are now working on you know, continuously pushing the boundaries of what's possible with AI in protein engineering.
Yeah, so to all our audience, a good tip: start to learn how to program. Because actually, yeah, like computational biology is getting, I have seen that it has gotten like stronger and stronger and stronger, because as you say, it saves you a lot of time. Save a lot of time in the lab, because with a computer you can already predict what's going to happen. I mean, computational biology in general, bioinformatics, like gives us all this to systems biology that gives us like the understanding of our biological system before we want to make it anything, like if we want to engineer it or something. I mean, it's just like, it's really getting stronger. So I think it's also an area that we should like start paying more and more attention.
That's a really good point that you make, because actually, just to mention that this profile, this type of people with a background combining a deep understanding of data science and artificial intelligence, but also with a good understanding of biology, it's going to be like a real hot area to develop a career going forward. Not just in protein engineering, in protein engineering it's going to be huge, because then you have new drugs being developed with proteins, like antivirals and new vaccines, etc. So it's going to be huge, and I think it's a good area to look at. And if you look now, there is not too many people with that background. It's really difficult to find that kind of profile out there.
Almost impossible, can confirm. And also, I feel like for students, because I feel like there should be some here, it's definitely much easier to start your own independent project in CompBio/ML/ all these kind of things, because you don't need a lab, you don't need to find a prof who is going to help you set up a lab, and best part, you're not going to give up your IP, i.e. intellectual property, to university. It can just be a really cool side project, your own side project, with which you'll never ever have to have any patent issues with anybody. So yeah, learn how to code.
But I think like something important is like, I mean, don't get like into this idea like, oh my God, now I need to learn how to code and like how to do a complete machine learning algorithm. I think some things it applies similarly. So when we were talking about with Mauricio about like how we are like life scientists, but to learn about economics and so, I think it's mostly the same. Like, it's really important, like whether you are going to want to start a startup, and depending on the area. And so, of course, it's important you start learning about different topics. But the most important thing is that you get an interdisciplinary theme. And I think like our co-founders here can tell us definitely about like the importance of the team. And actually, it's one of my next questions. Like, so which is like, we made this question in the Mentimeter about like which is the factor like you can say that has bring success to your startup. What do you consider what has been like most of the important things that has contributed to your success? Maybe Mauricio can give us some insight.
Yeah, sure. So from the very beginning, I think that our technology was attractive to the industry because there is a need for natural ingredients and natural colorants, and the consumers are demanding healthy ingredients. So I think that we have a lot of companies showing a lot of interest, but I think one of the most important, I was really lucky, is to find a business partner with the same passion and that works also 24/7 and with a different background. So I think the team is one of the most important parts of the company, and the success of the company depend on the not only on the founding team but also on the whole team. We have a food scientist, a molecular biologist, another biotechnologist, and they are both from different parts of Argentina. It's like we are not only multidisciplinary in our backgrounds, but also in the way we see the technology and in the way we approach the technology. And I think that's great, and I think that is the best way to approach all the challenges that humanity is facing in the next years.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think like you just said, like it's really important, like with whom you also like start and what you want to do. Like I think like it's really important to be focused, like to really, because I have seen like many people start like they want to do a lot of things, and so, but I mean, I think like to really have like a clear objective, I think like it's really important. I mean, it can be seen like from what you just mentioned, like you know your market, you know the impact that it will have and everything. So that's like super important. What about you, Sophia? What do you think?
Me? I tried to answer this question at the beginning. We actually felt like bacterial diseases is something that absolutely certainly should not exist. I mean, come on, it's 21st century, we have all the cool technologies, we have AI. Why do bacterial diseases still cause us so much issue? So that kind of was the starting point, and then we started approaching it from like skill set perspective and from a perspective of a platform technology, because yes, you can eliminate one bacterial disease. Yes, you can come up with one medication against it and it's gonna work. But we felt like we want to eliminate them all, which is how we started and how we decided that we want to do this. You asked about like, hey, how was it a success? I still cannot call it a success. It's going to be a success when we have profits. But I guess it's also really important to realize if you're willing to put, let's say, 7 to 10 years of your life into something. And that's something that I knew I was willing to put into this startup because I had a previous one before. And there I knew I'm not willing to put like even 2 years of my life because I didn't believe in the cause. So I would say that it's really important to realize it, why and if you care about what you do. And an additional point is realizing if you're willing to spend all this time working with the same people, because even when we spend time with the people we really like and the people we really care about, let's say our family, sometimes it's a little bit hard to spend all this time working on the same thing. And that's pretty much the same amount of time that you're going to spend with your co-founders. And it's not always going to be the cool stuff like, hey, you got like some new money from cool investors. That's great. Let's celebrate. Sometimes it's also about some challenges. And it's really important to understand that you'll be willing to overcome all those challenges with those people, and that you want to overcome those challenges with those people, and that you want to spend so much time even talking to those people, because sometimes like there is a desire to just stay alone and be like, oh, I don't want to talk to anybody, but like you have to go out there and you have to talk to those people, which means that it's really important to know that this is the person you're willing to spend so much time in the same room, or for Zoom, because COVID, you all know. So yeah, really think about this stuff before you decide to put all your time into something, your goal, why you want to do it, and with whom you want to do it. That's kind of my feedback on that.
I feel like it's like even when you are deciding which like bachelor you want to study, or if someone is like in the master or in the PhD, like when you're deciding in which topic you're going to focus, like it's a really important decision because you're going to dedicate the next years to that, and probably all your professional career you're going to dedicate it to that. And it's also the same, like I mean, something that really motivates you, like it's really important. And what about you, Leonardo? What can you tell us about all this?
Yeah, I can resonate a lot with what Mauricio said in Sophia. And so I think I will just add that, I agree, you need to have the market, you need to have the expertise and the people, the team is critical. But it's something I was thinking recently, it's about the timing. Having the right timing for your company, it's critical, super important, especially because you need a lot of funding from VCs. And if you're not in the right timing, they will not invest in your industry. So then you're just dead. And I think like I can see, Sophia, right now, why her startup will have a success in the future, because after the pandemic, everyone will look at what's next, and next is bacterial resistance. So you need to have tools to protect human from that. And from Mauricio and myself, we are in the same industry, the food sector. It's just right now, I would say from 2016, that they started to transition to these new ingredients, and it wasn't from the food companies. It was from us, from the consumers. We started to change. We started to push and ask for new ingredients, and then they said, okay, what's the alternative? Synthetic biology. It's the perfect tool to change ingredients, because that's how you adapt biology to food, right? That's basically it. And from our side specifically, before us, I always got this question, especially from computational biology, from large companies. They told me, we've been hearing from computational biology from like 10 years ago, and we never saw the real success or the real value. And I'm like, yeah, but right now we have GPUs that we couldn't dream of before. The computational power that we have right now, it's what allows us to predict biological systems, which are really complex. So I think timing is key.
Sorry if I was moving a lot, but my computer told me that it was running out of battery, and I was like, no. Please. Okay, but yeah, I mean, I totally agree. I think like in general, there's like a lot of things that you have to take into account, and like to see how, I mean, I love what you mentioned, the fact like how it was not industry that changed it was the consumer that actually changed. So it's really important to see what people are starting to care. It's not that what big industries are doing, is like how people are behaving actually.
Yeah, sometimes it's like a disconnection especially from the people working in biotech. They feel like, yeah, I'm working in a vaccine, so I need to work with Pfizer or whoever. But in reality, you're impacting people at the end. So you need to have an eye on your final user, right, the application. And that's how you build the vision, because you as a startup, you can be much more flexible. You are closer to the consumer. So you develop a vision that the large companies don't have, right? You can act really quickly, adapt to the changes even before they will sense it. So you can once they feel it, you already have the solution. So the only option for them is to acquire you or buy your product. That's how I say it.
Exactly. Yeah, I was actually just about to ask like about partnering with big companies, because at the end, some like maybe like the idea is more like, for example, as Mauricio, like your product can be used by big companies. Also, Leonardo, your project can also be used by big companies. How is like how is this process? How is it is important? Because I mean, I can even just say quickly an example. We see now with the vaccine, we have this company here in Germany, BioNTech, that they develop like they have been like doing all of the research regarding the vaccine, but they don't have like the capacities to really take like over like all the clinical trials, like things are super cold. So they partner with Pfizer. So it's not Pfizer who developed that vaccine, it was BioNTech, but they partner and they're making it possible. So what can you maybe tell us about this? Maybe Mauricio, what do you think?
Yeah, so from the very beginning, we knew that we have to validate our technology with the big players in the food and cosmetic industries. So I think we contacted more than over 100 companies, big companies, other startups, and we are working with a lot of them. We are sending samples. They are using our colorants in their products and give us a great feedback that is helping us to go back to the lab and to solve or to develop the best product for these companies, because they are our final users. So we have to develop the product that they need. And but yeah, we're working with great companies, and they have been a great support for our technology.
Yeah, and what about you, Leonardo? Have you already get in touch with more than 100 companies? How it has been for you?
Yeah, I think I feel a lot of similarities with Mauricio. We went through the same process.
I can imagine.
You reach all these companies and you adapt, and then that's how you understand how the value chain actually works. And I think that for all type of products that require fermentation to be produced with different organisms, and you need to build those capabilities. For us, at least, we don't think that we will invest in large facilities like 200,000 liter fermenters. It's even thinking on operating that, it's something that scares me. So the way that we decided to go, it's to, instead of building that facility, it's to partnering with companies that can do it, because you have a lot of capabilities already built. Right. In Europe, for example, you have Novozymes, DSM, etc. They have, all these capabilities sitting there that you can access, but you need to have a product that is validated. So we need to go from the idea to 30,000 liter fermenters, producing tons of a product, selling it to a client that will be the food company. And once you go through that process once, probably with contract manufacturers that will do it, then you have that validated, then one of these companies can take over. And I think in that sector of the industry, they are very flexible in terms of how the business model works. You can have, we are developing the IP, then another company that is producing protein will manufacture the product and distribute it, and then another company will buy that product and sell it to the consumer. So I think that there is a lot of room to flexibility. This has been done in the past a lot, so we're not reinventing the wheel here. It's taking experience, and that again is key. Like, you need to have that people, very senior business development people that have done a lot of these deals to have those ideas and help you out.
Exactly. And for you, Sophia, I mean, I know that you're still like in a really early stage, but I guess you are already like planning or maybe even in contact with companies. How has it been for you?
We are actually trying to go with more of a B2B model if it's possible. We'll see if we succeed. I have a subtle feeling we'll have to bring some revenue in between for more of consulting services. But we're actually trying to basically to have predictions how to modify bacteriophages and outsource the bacteriophage production, and then potentially additionally outsource the distribution. But we are not sure still if we might go with some kind of IPBM, i.e. IP business model in between to bring a little bit more cash in. But at this point, at least my hope is that it won't happen, because our main competitive advantage, which is the easier regulatory processing, since we use the same core set of bacteriophages for different diseases. will kind of disappear if we partner with different companies and with different sets of ages, and the whole thing kind of, I mean, it's there, but it's easier for us to just provide some other kinds of consulting services with machine learning and bacteriophages. So maybe some extra cash this way, but not long term.
Yeah, I mean, I guess like confirming like as time passes and you go more into the development of your project, I think like you will have like more, you'll see better like what to do and everything, and which like the best strategy.
We'll see, yes, absolutely. That's how it always happens. Just like Leonardo mentioned, as a startup, you always have the option to change your path much faster than a large company, which is something we're definitely doing a lot, and that's really helpful. It's just important to have an open mindset in this.
Yeah, definitely. And just like already for closing, because we are up in time, it's like I would just like to hear like from the three of you, like maybe just a message or recommendations you would tell, like a final message or recommendations you want to tell to the audience who is hearing us right now, and that, I mean, that they want to contribute somehow like to the development of startups or to do certain project. What would you tell? I will go by order how I'm looking at you right now here. Leonardo, maybe first.
That's a difficult question. I think, yeah, if you want to go to and build a startup, this is like the cliche, right? Like, don't do it. It's really difficult. But then if you really have the passion to do it, then you should do it and you know, go through that hell. And it's really difficult. You need to have that in mind from the beginning. But it is possible. It's super difficult, but you can do it. And you know, some things that you can avoid from the beginning is not being very in love with your technology, to be open to change it a bit based on your market. That's really critical, because at the end, you know, technology, it's always exciting, but you need money, and when you need money, you need to have a market validation, and that's more valuable than the technology itself. So that's what I think. Like a good advice would be to look at the market first and make sure that the technology you're building is aligned with that. Then definitely jump into the.
Potencia enormemente por toda la trayectoria que ya tiene, y de ahí es que viene el desarrollo del clúster de biotecnología, investigación y desarrollo de ciberseguridad, que es RNOMED, que venimos trabajando hace 7 años.
I don't know. Somebody just.
Como presidente,
What language is that?
Como siempre sigo mi función como consultora independiente.
I don't know if someone from the organization. Okay. If
I mean, that happens. Anyways.
Oh, it happens with these kind of meetings. I mean.
Yeah, and just to finalize that, it is the right moment to jump into this new food revolution. There is a lot of space for different ingredients. You know, competition is not really rude right now, because there is a lot of room, and even when you are working on one same product, the quantities that you need are so massive that there is room for multiple players with one single product. So there is definitely space right now. It's starting to get populated, so you know, it is the right timing right now to surf the wave. So yeah, that's from my side.
Well, thank you very much. I hope like everyone got the idea, even though we got this little interruption. Mauricio?
Yes, I agree with Leonardo about the market validation, about the timing. That it's a great time to start a startup, and I also think that startups are going to change. I don't know how to say it. So startups are agile, are fast moving, and if you want to approach all the challenges that humanity are facing in the next years regarding food, regarding sustainability, startups are the best way to approach those problems. Big companies they have the willing, but they don't have the agility of startups. If startups can develop faster, can grow exponentially, and I think that the open innovation model that big companies are using, and that it's used in innovation, it's great because it's really strength interaction between companies and startups. And this is like Leonardo said, the right time to approach all these challenges. And to add one more thing, I think the team is very important also. It is said that most of the startups failed when the founding team failed. I would add also the other members of the team. The team is very important in entrepreneurship. Be sure that the person that you are partnering with has the same passion, the same goals that you, and yeah, I think that's another key element when you start entrepreneuring.
Yeah, and I really like one of the things that you mentioned, like the one of sorry, the one of like how the impact of startups. I think like in general for all of us that do life science, we have seen that science most of the time just stays in the lab. Like we do a lot of research and then we publish papers, but at the end, it feels like we're doing science for other scientists, basically. I mean, we are doing everything, like we publish it and other scientists read it, and that's all. Like, and the projects and everything that you're doing, it stays in the lab. And I think like a startup is a really nice opportunity, like to bring out of the lab what you are doing. So I thoroughly agree, definitely with that. Like, if we want to really make a change, to like take a start, I think that I really support. And Sophia?
I actually have an advice that's probably a little bit different from Leonardo's, but maybe that's also because we're really early stage and because I started getting into this all the entrepreneurship stuff quite early. I would say, especially if you're a student, like at any stage of your education, just start doing it. If you ever consider starting a startup or being part of it, or you feel like you might want to leave academia, just go for it. Like either find a startup that will take you as an intern or like for some kind of position, preferably part-time, don't drop out. Or try to run some side projects that you might want to turn into startup in the future. Before you actually start doing it and you come across all the challenges that you'll certainly come across, you will never understand if it's actually something for you. And you won't get so many useful and helpful lessons that you can get out of even the process of just trying to start something. Even if it's not successful the first time, second time, or even ever, I promise you're going to learn a lot. And you cannot learn it in textbooks, you cannot learn it through MBA, you cannot learn it by doing lab work. You just go out there, you make your own mistakes, you talk to investors. Like, for example, your first meeting with investors is probably going to be like, whoa, somebody agreed to talk to me about my idea. And for your 10th meeting, you might want to oversleep it. Hopefully not, but like you'll wake up like 5 minutes before a meeting and be like, oh my God, I forgot to get my coffee, it's fine, I'm going to be 2 minutes late. So generally, this is a really interesting journey, and I would honestly recommend to anybody to try to do it at least in some form, like on the side, because that's something that you won't experience in any other ways than by just trying to do it.
I think like we can how you summarize what Sophia said in a go for it and don't be afraid. Definitely. And I think everyone agrees. I think like of what you have mentioned, of course, is all the trivia. There's of course certain uncertainty sometimes, especially when you're starting, but I think it should really continue. But okay.
Last thing, don't drop out.
Yeah, sure.
Like, it should be a side thing. Don't like try to be a second Zuckerberg right away. Like, if it happens, that's great, and I'm sure it will happen to many more people. But just start small, but just start at some point. Starting is the hardest part, in a way.
Yeah, but once you start, like, I guess it's nice, the process. I can see that the three of you have enjoyed your journey so far. I mean, you're working on it, so great. So thank you very much, the three of you. I think right now will be a nice moment to start asking our discussion panel members to join. Thank you very much, Leonardo, Mauricio, and Sophia. It was a really nice session with you. I'm sure everyone has really appreciates all the recommendations and to hear about you. And maybe just if you want, you can stay here, and we can, at the end, for the closing, have we all together here.
Yeah, thanks for the invitation, Carolina. Unfortunately, I need to leave, but I'm happy to connect with anyone if some follow-on questions arise.
Okay, well, it was nice to have you here.
All right.
Thank you.
All right.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thanks. Yeah, and Shanghai, whom I mentioned from iGEM Epic, is joining right now. So yeah, just saying. Anyways, I'm also gonna go. Have a great next session. Bye.
Bye bye. Thank you. Okay, so we are going to proceed actually then with the Mentimeter, as I see. So please enter to this Mentimeter to answer just 2 quick questions. And then I will ask also, like, on the meantime, our next speakers, Jason, Shanghai, and Gabriela, to get prepared. You already see Gabriela there. And okay, so I don't know if Jason's still there. But well, in the meantime, we can start sitting this question from the Mentimeter. So which strand do you consider the most, oops, what happened? So one of the questions right now is which strand do you consider the most important for the development of bioeconomy entrepreneurship in your region? And we can see we have accessibility, local biodiversity, sustainability, network, the technology, definitely. Let's see how many other answers we get. And I can also start saying I'm really excited to be right now with Shanghai, Gabriela, and Jason. I will introduce you in a few moments. Scientific tradition, I can see that is one of that is growing in the Mentimeter. We have quite different answers. Okay, maybe in the meantime, while the people keep answering the Mentimeter, I actually would like to introduce our amazing panel that we are going to have right now. So I'm just going to read the little biographies that we have here. I mean, it's just a summary because they have done a lot of things. But first of all, we have Gabriela, who has an extensive national and international experience in Latin America aimed at international collaboration for biotechnology application in global value chains, with proven experience in leading and coordinating international teams for over 15 years. As well, she has over 15 years experience in international consultancy as a team leader and senior consultant for European Commission projects with Latin American and European partners. As well, we have Jason. Jason is a scientist entrepreneur passionate about translating innovative technologies into better patient outcomes. As CEO and co-founder of Start Codon, a Cambridge-based accelerator, he aims to identify and recruit the most disruptive healthcare startups worldwide, seed fund them, and leverage the exceptional resources of the Cambridge cluster to their risk and drive their success. Previously, he was CEO of Cambridge Epigenetics and Business Development Manager for Horizon Discovery Diagnostics Division. And we also have Shanghai, who is a PhD MBA student at the National University of Singapore, working on ways to enable cost-effective DNA storage methods. He's concurrently the head of EPIC APAC, Asia-Pacific region, an entrepreneurial bootcamp for budding scientists in the synthetic biology space. He's passionate about all things in biology, and he's keen on exploring ways in which we can translate findings into impact. So I'm really happy to have you all here. And I think maybe it would be nice that we dedicate a couple of minutes that each of you maybe say a little bit more about what you are doing. maybe Jason, you can better tell us what you do at Start Cotton.
Thanks, Carolina. Thanks, everyone. So real briefly, Start Codon is an accelerator based in the UK in Cambridge, but we have an international global focus. One of the speakers mentioned earlier, I think it was Sophia, about how now with the global pandemic, a lot of barriers have come down. So we're open for any company that's a startup in the healthcare space that wants to have funding and support to get off the ground. So what we do is we invest £250,000 per company. We provide them with access to our network of experts and my team of experts, and we try to help these companies spin out and get started successfully. So it's all about therapeutics, diagnostics, medical tech, and digital health. And I'm particularly passionate about companies coming out of Latin America and other emerging economies. So thank you again for inviting me.
It's a pleasure to have you here. Now let's hear from Gabriela. You need to unmute yourself, Gabriela. I think she's trying to unmute herself. Yes, there you go.
Oh, finally. Great. Just go slow. Well, thank you for the invitation. I'm so excited to be here joining you and sharing with Cheng and Jason as well. It's music to my ears to hear you. My background, I mean, I have 27 years of professional experience. So my background is kind of mixed up. I've been an entrepreneur, I've been a scientist, and since then I saw that my core business was in consulting, and so I went internationally, and that's where I'm sitting now. So I do have a background in agronomy, biotechnology, and an MBA. So this is something that already kick off what I wanted to say. This mixture is something we all need. You know, it's something that is pretty scarce, especially in my generation, not anymore as in your generations, but it really needs to, it helps to show, to understand science as a business. So first point there.
Great, thank you very much. And then Shanghai, can you tell us about?
Thanks again for inviting me as well. I'm calling from Singapore and Asia itself, and I think that being an emerging economy as well, like what Jason said, I think there's a lot of opportunity for biology to be a massive thing here. So as a result, I joined iGEM, which is essentially a synthetic biology competition for to nurture young scientists to develop their projects in synthetic biology. But what we felt was that these projects had so much potential to actually become an impactful thing outside of just trying to sell at a competition itself. So what we tried to do with iGEM Epic, and we are trying to do and continuing on next year, is to bring these projects or these people forward to give them an avenue to learn more about business and therefore connect them with people who can then help them to bring their own ideas forward. So that's just a pretty short summary of what we are doing. Yeah.
Great, thank you very much. And as you can see, we have a quite diverse panel. I love it that we have like actually focused in different regions. So we have Shanghai from Asia Pacific, we have Jason in Europe, and we have Gabriela in Latin America. So I think like actually will be like one of the questions I would like to start, like, which is like the factor, the important factors that you see in your region regarding like the success of a biotechnology venture. Like when someone wants to start like something regarding like a startup in biotech in your region, what is the factors that maybe they need to consider? Maybe Gabriela, you can tell us from what you have seen in Latin America.
Okay, first of all, just to give a broad overview without thinking of where it is, the important thing is what it has, the business environment. For it to be a hotspot anywhere in the world has to have a few parameters. First, that there is a good entrepreneurial spirit and that it runs in the blood. So you're already shortening where these places are in the world with that factor. But it doesn't matter. That can still be worked through. Second, it's the efficiency of technology transfer, because here is one of the aspects that, again, in certain areas of the world, it is much more efficient. So you can see many companies starting up with massive difference than other parts of the world. And then three other things. One, that there is a flagship company that made the difference. That is like the point that incentivizes everybody, and not just the entrepreneurs, but also the government for their structure, their incentives, and the rest of the value chain, consultants, investors, etc. And the other thing is obviously networking, a good network, not only local, but with internationally, with people from all parts of the world. And finally, a local association or a cluster. That helps a lot, because it is the way to nucleate all of the people and have a voice in either of the institutions that are necessary, either with the government or with academia or with any type of organization. Having a voice as a cluster or as an association really increases the synergy in a place. So what happens in Latin America, basically entrepreneurship is one of the low points, but many institutions and many incubators have been trying to work on that. It does make a huge difference and a gap from other places, hotspots like Silicon Valley, obviously. But we are fortunate enough in Costa Rica to have founded 7 years ago a cluster in biotechnology and life sciences research. It's called CR Biomed, and this cluster made a huge difference because it, in a way, supports all of these areas where we normally are as a country are in lower points. So I can talk more about that later, so I can give space to the others.
Yeah, perfect. And for example, and Jason, how is it there in Cambridge? And also, like, I'm quite curious, like, because I mean, one of the main objectives of Start Cutting, like, to focus on healthcare. So if there's something you have seen there that you'd say, like, maybe we should focus on this.
Yes, it's a good question. I think all the points that Gabriela raised are very, very key to these ecosystems, and it's key to Cambridge as well. I particularly come from a cardiovascular medicine background, so healthcare has always been a personal focus. But one of the strengths of Cambridge has been that there were 3 industries that I would say really helped nucleate the cluster here. So we had the Genomics Revolution. So the Sanger Institute and the Human Genome Project was led into things like next-gen sequencing, Alexa, there's now Illumina. So there was a huge talent pool of genomics experts. Also biologics. There was a company called Cambridge Antibody Technologies, which was acquired and merged with MedImmune, and then also part of AstraZeneca. So there's a lot of biological therapeutic expertise. And then the likes of companies like ARM had some really deep tech expertise developing microchips that are in most of the computers and mobile devices we use today. And that's given rise to artificial intelligence and machine learning expertise. So you can see how having these flagships, as Gabriela put them, can nucleate the ecosystem, and then the former employees, successful exits, they expand, they set up new companies, there's new talent coming through the university, which is here, which is known for really driving innovation as well. So you have all these elements coming together, forming those networks. But I would say it's definitely the talents, the ambition, the capital. There's incentives from the government to promote healthcare and innovations across the board. So clean tech, deep tech, healthcare, you name it. The government provides grants and encourages young people to set up companies and join startups. There's a healthy investor ecosystem here as well. So you have access to capital at all stages of growth. And importantly, it's the talent in the teams. One of the things that Cambridge hasn't had historically is a large pool of experienced, let's say, serial entrepreneurs. It's growing, but that's been one of the things that's been a challenge historically. So unlike places like Silicon Valley and Boston, where you have a massive pool of people who've done it multiple times, Cambridge and the surrounding areas tend to be many more first-timers who set up companies, which I think is more akin to what you would see in some of the emerging economies. A model that we've had that's worked is you find mentors to help support that next generation. So I would recommend that anyone out there who is in their own ecosystem that might be coming to the forefront, having mentors, particularly internationally experienced mentors, is key. And one of the great things that seems to be a theme of the day is that the barriers have been lowered. If anybody here wants to reach out, I'm sure, to any of the panel members or anyone that they might find on LinkedIn or that they think might be able to help them, they should do so, because we'd all be happy to jump on a call and give advice if we're able. And there's no reason why you wouldn't be able to access the expertise that you might have in Silicon Valley or in Boston or some of the other hubs like in Cambridge, even if you're anywhere in the world. So I strongly encourage people to do so.
Yeah, I mean, I love what you say. Like, the barriers have been lowered. I mean, it's totally true. And I mean, they always tell you, you already have the no. Like, whenever you want to talk to someone and you ask them, you already have the no. So you have nothing to lose after that. And Shanghai, what can you tell us also about this?
I would like to echo that virtual access to information, because that's what happened to us this year. We had to convert from a physical program to a virtual program. And it actually led us to expand it to reach out to so much more people. We could have had participants from India, we have participants from Australia, and these entirely separate economies would not have come together if not for the fact that we made our program virtual due to this extenuating circumstances. So I think that, and I echo all the points that have been mentioned above in terms of creating a network, creating a whole cluster of people that can generate more and more like downstream effects. And I think that that's something that's still kind of lacking in Asia specifically, like what you mentioned in Cambridge, that there's a lack of serial entrepreneurs. I would say even in Asia, there's a lack of even first-time entrepreneurs that you can see successes coming from. And I think that role model really plays a massive role in trying to get people to get excited about the bioeconomy forward, to get excited about creating their own startups. And that's, I think, on the onus on people like ourselves who are trying to set up communities and build spaces to try and be the examples, in a sense, to connect them with people, like you said, even if they should try and connect themselves to serial entrepreneurs, they might not know how, or they might not have the daring to, in a sense. So they come to people like us, where we can then connect them to people who will be able to inspire them forward and therefore nucleate those clusters. So I think that's what we are trying to do here in iGEM EPIC, and myself in Singapore and in Asia as well. And I hope to see this whole community grow such that we can have talented people from all around the world trying to develop good things and grow the bioeconomy.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. I mean, you have already mentioned about iGEM and everything, and it's really nice, like, to see this transition from the projects that go into the competition, and then like they decide to go to startups. Like, how do you have you seen like this transition for the projects? Like, I just think like it's easy for the teams. Is it difficult? Like, at least like yeah, from what you have seen, how it is.
So I think the main concern there is that most projects that students start up with, they always have that concept that this is just going to be a science project, or it's just going to be a thing that's going to last for this amount of time and we're going to be done with it. And rarely do they come up with the idea to actually think of, hey, this could be something that could have an impact if I try to start a business, because they never thought that this could actually be one. And that's what we are trying to really change. We are trying to tell people that whatever problem you're trying to solve, if it's a relevant scientific problem, it might actually have a relevant business impact as well. And don't consider it to just solely be a...
Oh, you got muted.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, don't consider it to just be a scientific problem, but actually consider when you speak to people out there, does this problem affect these real life people, and can you actually change their lives with your solution? And if you can, why not consider trying to start a business out of that? And that's what we're trying to help them transit to. And also, a lot of these teams are like big teams, and they have a lot of students coming in. And I think that also the other issue is that these are really students. They always feel that they have something else they rather do after they finish this project. The question is, how can we start them thinking of starting a company immediately after doing this project? And I think people like us having these organizations, having these kind of like places whereby we welcome students, we welcome graduate students, for example, in Stockholm. We can welcome anybody who has an idea and who is passionate about doing impactful things. That's what we try to do here. And I think that's what we want to try and help them to transit into a business as well.
Yeah, and I think like Gabriela, you have a comment?
Yes, thanks. I'd like to budge in with this topic because if we're talking about entrepreneurship is one of the systemic issues for the rest of the things, then what is happening here? I think Jason mentioned something really, really interesting, just the word ambition. I mean, the word ambition means you're ready for risk, you're ready for falling down and getting back up, etc. But why don't most of the people want to do that? Because I think that in like everything, if you're not in an early age motivated to do it or prone to wake up these interests, then it is very difficult to transition once you're at the university or after the university. So for example, just the hunger to make money, that is something that most of us are not really stuck in our head when we're 9 years old, 10 years old or something. But if our parents get us to go to, you know, make some brownies or something and sell it outside in the street and things like that. I mean, just a silly example. There can be an example. They do that in the States. It's normal, and nobody thinks bad about that. So really, I think we have to look backwards to how we are educated from kindergarten onwards, and entrepreneurship. We're trying to put these as like in Costa Rica, there's a very nice university here that has a biotechnology degree, and any other degree, the first year they do an entrepreneurship course. That doesn't make them entrepreneurs later. It has to be much earlier and within life and within parents wanting to motivate their kids to do that.
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree. It's like changing the mindset, like, but from a really early stage, like from a really early age, like, so you can really really change the mindset of the people. Because I mean, like in general, like when you see like all these new ideas and everything, of course, like some people agree and so, but then like it's really difficult to change how people think and how they see things and everything. So it's really important, as you just mentioned, like to really go on an early age. And actually, Jason, which has been your experience like on this regarding like training scientists? I mean, you already work with people who have been trained as scientists and now they want to become entrepreneurs. How has been that, and what can we do to train scientists to be entrepreneurs?
Yes, so I want to build a bit on what Gabriela said, actually. So I think there tends to be a skew for certain types of industries and certain types of individuals who tend to be less risk averse, who tend to be more natural entrepreneurs. So for example, my parents immigrated to the States from Jamaica and Panama. And I think that particularly in the States, there's a natural skewing of people who have immigrant parents, because you are, by default, if you are willing to go to a different environment and have to expose yourself to a different culture and survive, you tend to enrich for people who instill that ambition and that lack of, that embracing passion you need to be an entrepreneur. And I find that scientists are already excellent entrepreneurs. They just might not know it. You think about the amount of time you have to spend pitching your idea, arguing with your PI, trying to get the people to accept your publication, speaking at public events, mapping your own path, trying to get funding through grants. It's very similar to what an entrepreneur does. You just have to switch who you're asking for the money from or switch who you're trying to pitch your ideas to. So a lot of scientists think it's either or. You can be an entrepreneur in any setting. And so that's the first thing I do when I encounter an entrepreneurial scientist or someone who doesn't think of themselves that way. I try to get them to think, actually, what you're doing is already pretty entrepreneurial. So it lowers it reduces the fear they have that somehow going into the business world is something totally unacceptable to them. I think culture has a large part to play in it as well. I remember when I was doing my PhD back in the day, it was still considered taboo to be thinking about going into business. So you were seen as a failed scientist, because real scientists obviously stay in academia and become professors. And then maybe there's another tier of scientists who goes into industry. but certainly you don't go and set up your own company. That was still the attitude when I was doing my degree 16 years ago. It's certainly changed, and I was fortunate to have had my PI who supported me in my career and said, if you want to be an entrepreneur, why don't you go and do this business plan competition? Why don't you go and try to set up your own company? And having that early support, just having somebody there to encourage me made all the difference. So what we try to do as an accelerator is chart a path that makes it easier for people who really do want to take that next step. Once they've been encouraged and convinced that they can do it, they need the help and support early on and a bit of hand-holding to get them to the next step. And then we try to chart a path for who comes after the accelerator. Who can they continue to build upon their experience, build upon that network of support they need to get to the next level. But I always say that scientists make excellent entrepreneurs. They just don't necessarily know it yet.
You know, I never saw it that way, and you're totally, I mean, I totally agree. Like, yes, scientists, we are all entrepreneurs. We are always dealing with public speaking, pitching our ideas to get funding. Yes, like,
and
it's just like,
we're always dealing with failure. There's a lot of failure in entrepreneurship, and there's nothing like a scientist to know what it's like for experiments to not work again and again and again, but to keep going. Most people would quit. The scientists, we just keep at it. That is the kind of resilience in an entrepreneur.
That's why I'm not a scientist anymore.
Yeah, I totally agree with that part. Yeah.
I couldn't get through the AFLPs at my time.
I mean, yeah, but I mean, at the end, how you say? Yeah, I mean, it's like the nice thing about science. Like, yes, you fail, but you just find a way to keep going. And then, yes, it's the same in entrepreneurial path, like to go the way. And actually, so my next question would be, so we have been talking about like the mindset of the people and the help the people like need and everything, but what can countries actually do in general, like for really contributing to this? And let's talk about maybe policies or about education, like which like things like must be worked on, you think, or like better say, which are like the main institutions that you would say that need to try to focus on these things that you have been mentioning? Maybe Gabriela, you can give us better insight on this.
Well, honestly, I think it would be different according to the opportunities there are in each area. It's not one fits all. So in Latin America, as I said, one of the things that is needed is to support the entrepreneurs. But even if you have like hundreds of incubators, that is not making the difference. Mm-hmm. So again, this networking with role models, with like what we're doing now, and this whole workshop that you did from the beginning in Biotech is certain examples of entrepreneurs who are successful now. Honestly, that is so helpful. And then knowing who to call for help. And it's not just one, it must be a combination. So you do need people that, like Jason says, take you by the hand in a more business-oriented sense, but you all also need the people thinking about legal stuff, intellectual property, regulations. The last thing we think of as an entrepreneur are the regulations. And I learned this late to realize that first, today, when I talk with an entrepreneur or when I see a project from the university, I ask them, what is this regulation you will be subject to in the future if this turns out possibly into the market? And they're like, why are you talking about that right now? And it's because you could just correct things from the beginning, from any sense of the format that you would be thinking the product would have, or if you're thinking of a phytochemical for some sense, well, look at what countries are less restrictive about this and not. If you're thinking about medical, something invasive, and you try to look at the references of what FDA is allowing about that. Take cell terapia celular.
Cell therapy, yeah.
Okay. Cell therapy. In Costa Rica, all of a sudden, they started the Ministry of Health, which is the local FDA, just prohibited it. And there were many cosmetic clinics with that. And what happened? The people that were researching in veterinary cell therapy that were doing a great job at that, or Sapides working with cell therapies that were having excellent results, they had closed down. So you have to follow that from the first step, even if you're not going to be subject to that immediately. And there's many more things, but just for that.
Yeah, and actually, for example, like Shanghai, what would you say also about this? I mean, especially considering that Argent projects normally actually try to deal with these two things that Gabriela has just mentioned. Like, first of all, you have to really take into account the biosecurity of the project and all the regulations that are going to then be involved with the project that you're doing. And then also you have this important part of public engagement, in which you really need to communicate and everything. And I mean, I'm mentioning this because it's really important that the government and many institutions really know about the things that can be done with science and the potential they have and the importance that they have. So that then we don't have situations, as just Gabriela that just saying, that cell therapy they prohibit it. I mean, so what maybe you have seen from, maybe it would nice you told us of what you have been seeing maybe there in Asia region.
Yeah, so I think one of the key things about all these regulations and all that stuff going on is actually a lot about communication. How clear is it that you can find all these regulations? Because more often than not, as an entrepreneur, you don't even know where to start looking for all these legalese that will allow you to actually figure out whether you can do something or not. And I think what government should do, or at least one key aspect, is to really try and distill what is or is not allowed in a very clear document. And I think the Singapore government does that pretty well in that sense. They have clear guidances on what is allowed and what is not allowed, and what are the authorities who you should seek advice from if you want to do things. And I think having all that in place, having all that clarity really helps in trying to understand whether your project is something that can be turned into an actual business or not, with all these regulatory hurdles in mind. And I think, again, going back to what you mentioned about iGEM itself, one important thing about it is the public engagement, like you said, and spreading the word about all these things also help to influence people in government itself. So by trying to develop all these technologies and speaking to people in the government, then they can understand what's going on because they're hearing it directly from you rather than reading about it in the news or something else. And you are the expert, you know what you're talking about, and you can convince them that your project or whatnot is safe and it's going to be impactful. And I think that's something that more scientists should do. We should go out and talk to people more. We should try and engage the public more and communicate our science better so that the policymakers can themselves understand what's going on in these really cool yet kind of scary industries, whereby you're engineering biology, you're changing things, you're creating weird mutant stuff, and it sounds scary on the outside, but even though it's so mundane and we do that all the time in the labs, people just don't realize how safe or how easy it is to do, yet completely they just think of things blowing them out of proportion. So I think being able to communicate that to people is extremely important, especially in societies whereby these things are not so clearly understood as well.
Yeah, definitely. I have always thought that when scientists should really get out of the lab and really communicate what they are doing, it's really important so that we can really have a change. And for example,
can I add something?
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I said something really crucial. I mean, communication isn't something that when modern biotechnology started out, and all the scientists didn't try not to communicate because they did not know how to communicate. They were in a capsule doing their science. So there's a new opportunity now with bioeconomy. I mean, honestly, bioeconomy is the opportunity now to get through to any economic level and to any type of organization. So it's an umbrella that for now, most of the people don't know what they're talking about, all of us. So the point here is we have another chance to start communicating multidisciplinary ways, and even with information technology, which is needed. So everything about convergence of biotechnology, about applying any development, sophisticated development into any part of economic for creating value. This is bioeconomy, and the whole world is listening to this right now. You have all the international organizations, the IMF, the World Bank, the OECD, everything. They're all talking about bioeconomy. Actually, I have one of my videos that I can send a link later to show that in April of this year, right after the pandemic, all these organizations got together to say, oh my gosh, this is the only way to reactivate the economy in the world. So let's give these recommendations of bioeconomy to all the governments.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I mean, as we have mentioned in like during the during the sessions, I mean, the pandemic somehow like brought also opportunities, like, and to really realize things that we didn't realize before. And now we see like even politicians talking about biotech and bioeconomy and PCR, and it's a dream for us. Like, it's like finally they are like talking about this. And I mean, I have like a question related to this, and also what we previously said to Jason. I mean, also like when working on healthcare, we do like, I mean, there are a lot of things that we should take into consideration. And I mean, we can see with the pandemic, with the development of a vaccine and everything, oh my God, it's like it has to go to clinical trials and everything. What have you seen like from Start Cotton? Like, do actually like entrepreneurs like go into trying to develop like therapies, or they go more into maybe healthcare devices? What have you seen?
So we see a wide range of different innovations. We are interested, as I said, broadly in therapeutics, diagnostics, medtech, and digital health. That's kind of a catch-all for anything that's a life science or even non-life science but could improve public health. We're interested in. So we see things from new gene editing platforms that could rival CRISPR. We see new biomarker strategies for early detection of disease. I think that there's a big emphasis on early detection because of COVID. I think diagnostics was always kind of the ugly stepchild of therapeutics. Everybody thought about, we need to find a cure for cancer, then everything else is secondary to that. Now, people are noticing things like anti-infectives are important, because before, it was only infectious diseases were a problem predominantly of some of the poorer economies, but now we know that it's a problem globally. Suddenly people said, oh, anti-infective, that's exciting. Early detection as well. Prevention is better than cure. That's an old adage that's been used by multiple cultures, and yet, so much of our emphasis economically, in terms of investment, in terms of companies, has been, let's wait till you're sick and we'll give you something that hopefully will be better than the disease itself and will cure you. Now we know that prevention, health, and wellness, and a lot of digital interventions, digital health networks for people to be able to interact and know what's the best treatment for them, find the best doctor, for example, or even digital therapeutics, looking at a mobile app that could improve your memory, could improve your mental health, could alleviate pain. These are all ways that I think are going to be the inventions and advances of the future that are kind of putting the traditional, I have a pharma company and a therapeutic and it's going to cost me billions to get to market. I think that model still holds true, but there are a lot of disruptive models that are coming to the forefront. And I am really excited to see how innovation is being driven by all of this chaos that we're in at the moment. I find that often necessity is the mother of invention, they say, but I think chaos is a big part of that as well. And it also means that the ability for, let's say, scientists or entrepreneurs or innovators across the globe to develop inventions that through reverse innovation will be deployed in other more, say, developed economies is massive. I'm looking across, ecosystem. I was looking at a company that's out of Nigeria the other day, and they have an amazing platform for decentralized healthcare and being able to coordinate a response, which has been deployed for COVID, and is one of the reasons why they have such a brilliant COVID response in Lagos, for example. So I'm looking for those innovations that could be reversed and come into Europe, into the States, into parts of Asia. And I see that telemedicine, digital health, anti-infectives, diagnostics, these are all things that are really coming to the forefront.
Yeah, I think like it's what you mentioned, like the cows is like I once heard like you need to see the beautifulness of the cows, you know, like and the good things you can get from it. And I also like what I have really been amazed and why it has been nice to see from all the situations that we have been living is like there have been many initiatives, as you mentioned, like to fight against COVID, and it's nice to see how they even adapt to the necessities of each region. Like and maybe there's somewhere like it's really difficult like to make the tests, so there are people like really looking on ways of how to make quick tests and how to get resources, or projects like we want to make tests using resources from our country, so we can really like you know, to push the economy here. I mean, it's really amazing all the things that we have gotten from all this situation, and unfortunately we are running out of time. I mean, we already passed already a lot by the time, so I'm sorry to the audience and to you. So I would like just to maybe ask you to tell this just quickly. Like, I mean, I know that I'm sure you have a lot of things you would like to say to our audience, but in general, I mean, what message in general you can give to our audience from what we have been discussing during this session, even before? I mean, I think we are all really, we have the motivation to really push and to really like improve bioeconomy in our regions, definitely. So what message would you give to everyone? Maybe Gabriela, you can tell us something first.
Well, so many messages. First, be happy with what you're doing, honestly. That's the basic motivation. Second, honestly, really strive for doing something that will make an impact. Maybe if it's not monetary, if it's social or whatever it is, the new era is looking for these things, which is not in terms of euros or whatever. It's and there's need for that, and there's money around that. So there's a lot to be done in those areas. It doesn't have to get so sophisticated and complicated within the medicine area and the regulations and the clinical trials and all of that. There's plenty more avenues to work within and around those. And third of all, probably one of your best assets is to have a good network. So ask around, don't stay with the first opinion. Ask different type of thinkers, disruptive, conservative, and try to find where you think you will fit in and that you will be comfortable with yourself and not what society or anybody else will be demanding. Something that you really can bring forward to the world.
Great. And Jason, what would you like to say?
Yeah.
So I would just like to say that obviously you have to take the first step. So even listening to this session that we've had today, that, you know, again, thank you for organizing this, is the first step towards that journey of actually pursuing and achieving your dreams, of being an entrepreneur, of setting up your own company, of really bringing your ideas out into the real world. So it's just many little steps, but you're moving in the right direction. And if you think at any time that no one out there looks like you, or no one's done it before, you can be the first. And don't be afraid to ask for help. We're all here. The number of times people reach out to me that I've never met before, and I'm just impressed by their tenacity. I say, of course I'd like to have a conversation with you, or of course I can introduce you to somebody. You would be surprised how many people out there in positions of influence are willing to help you. Don't think, oh, who am I to ask that question? Who am I to accomplish? And again, I just want to emphasize, if you don't see someone who looks like you or comes from your background or from your culture, be the first. Be the first unicorn biotech technology company from your hometown, from your home country, from your region. You can do it.
Yeah, that's a really nice thing, definitely. Thank you very much. Cheng,
Yeah, I think I'll just echo what Jason said. I mean, I'm a PhD student. Still, I can't be in any way close to what Gabriela and Jason has achieved. But I'm also here on this panel because I believe that we all have something to share, and we all can have our own experiences and our own knowledge that we can use to inspire further people. So, I mean, I can be an example in that sense. And look at me. If I can do it, I think all of you can do it too. I'm nothing special. I'm just a PhD student right now. I think all of us all have the opportunity to do something cool and really try. So in fact, instead of leaving a message, I think I would like to ask a question in the sense that I guess the take home is, why are you not in contributing to the bioeconomy right now? And what's stopping you from doing it? Is it the lack of opportunity? Is it the lack of network or network connections they have? Asking yourself these questions will allow you to then think of the next step. What can you then take, given like all we have told you, you can actually do everything you want. But if you haven't asked the question of what's stopping you, you might not know what's the thing that you want to do. Reaching out to random people might not be the correct answer, but perhaps you have to instead work on a project somewhere else to develop your own skills and confidence. Perhaps that's the solution, but you won't know that until you ask yourself that question. Yeah, and I was also, of course, just like to say that for us as well, we try and provide opportunities for people in iGen to actually come and contribute in whatever way. So we are recruiting for next year. I'm just going to sell it right there. And I will put a link in the chat to, if you're interested in being a mentor and being participating in the entrepreneurship program yourself, or just hanging out in the community, just please go ahead and join us. And we are more than welcome to try and help you all in whatever journey you guys are intending to take.
yeah, thank you very much for this. I mean, I think like in general, as even what I can see like already from the chat, like it has been like really inspiring, everything what you have done, like the three of you, and all the things that you have told us. Even like myself, I found it really inspiring. I feel like I'm ready to do this, you know. It's really nice. I mean, it's really nice that we all around the world, we are really wanting to make a change, actually. Like we are all working like from our places to do something, to have an impact. Like from you by yourself doing your own, the startup, as we saw in the discussion, in the startup stories, and from what I have heard from you, that you are like more helping entrepreneurs to have success and to how to say, you're helping to the development of the bioeconomy in your region. So it's like really nice and really inspiring. And thank you a lot for your time in here. I know
and
that
I have an invitation for you, because I enjoyed this panel so much that I actually have monthly webinars about bioeconomy. So I'd like to invite all of you to join and continue these conversations on January 12th. So I'll send you a link, and you're open to share your ideas.
I think like everyone who is listening will love to get in contact with the three of you, definitely. So again, thank you very much for your time, for being here. And yeah, and I think like for our discussion panel, this is all. So I think just before closing, I would like to just go back to the Mentimeter questions that we were doing like before the discussion panel was starting, just before the closing of our session. I don't know if Natalia can share screen.
I'm trying to mute here, and it doesn't mute, so you can hear the rain.
Hi, sorry, Caro.
Mm-hmm.
See the screen, or you're not seeing the sharing?
No, I don't see it.
Okay, we'll try again then. What about now?
It's
yes.
Loading. We see infinite. There you go. I mean, if I would just wanted like to like that we could see the of this Mentimeter, which strand do you consider the most important for development of bioeconomy entrepreneurship in your region. As we can see, many people answer that sustainability. It's one of the important, and I mean, it's actually something really important because I mean, we know that sustainability is actually one of the pillars of bioeconomy, like one of the aims, right? So I think like this is really important. And actually, for closing our session, I would like to invite also Natalia, Romina, Nico, who is the team who has been behind this workshop, and also if any of our speakers from the previous session, Mauricio, is there still, or I think Leonardo and Sophia already had to leave. Okay, there's Mauricio. Let's have Natalia. Well, maybe, okay, Romina is joining there. So, I mean, with all of us here, I would like to thank you, all of you, the participants, the speakers, even the organizers of this, for being here, for making this possible. I mean, as I have mentioned already, we can see the importance of this, and we can see like we are a lot of people actually like really wanting to make a change. It's really exciting and it's really nice and inspiring, as I can see, and I can say how I feel right now. Like I feel really inspired from this. So I'm really happy. I'm really thankful and everything. I don't know if maybe Natalia or Romina, you want to say a final words.
I can step in and just say thank you, everyone. Thank you to our speakers. It was a great discussion today, both in the startup section, the startup stories, and also hearing from the experience of Cheng Kai, Gabriela, and Jason, and how they're promoting for these startups to grow. So thank you very much, and thank you for everyone, also for those that stayed until the end. And this panel will be uploaded also later, so more people can review it. Thank you very much to everyone.
Yeah. Okay, so thank you a lot, everyone, for being part of this workshop. We hope that you enjoy it. I mean, I think most of our speakers have shared their contact information. So if you want to contact, remember you already have the note. So, but I'm sure our speakers will glad to help you in answering any doubts that you have. And also, if you want to contact us, like from All Biotech, we already show our contact data there, but we can put it again in the chat. So any question or anything, any collaboration maybe that you can think of, we are here, and we will be really happy to work with you. So thank you very much, and have a nice morning, evening, afternoon, whatever part of the world you are. For me, it's already like evening. So yeah, have a really nice day.